here.
Oh, hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live. Just like that. It's a miracle. Look at that. Mark, you fixed it.
Miracle.
Mark, you fixed it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the most important NYCFC talk show. It's time for the Dudes in Blue. It's episode number 151. Thanks so much for joining us. Hey, we appreciate your patience because we were having some serious technical difficulties there. Wow, that was not fun. I'm your host, Joe Amato. Alongside me, as always, is a new man.
Antonino, what's up, everybody?
The newly married Antonino. And over there is our special guest tonight, Mark Fratto, the PA announcer at Yankee Stadium for the NYCFC games. Mark, what's going on?
Everything's good. This show worked much better when Anthony was single. I said that off air, now I'm going to say it on air. This is in no way a harbinger of how things are going so far, marriage-wise.
No, our communication is fine. It's
excellent,
the communication here is the issue.
Unbelievable. You know, I got to fire our producer. Like he's really. He's dropping the ball. Well, if you guys are joining us on the Facebook Live feed, thank you guys so much for spending time with us. And if you're listening on the pod, thank you as well. It's episode number 151. We're always at Dudes in Blue on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're going to talk some NYCFC, maybe a little bit of MLS. Mark, your voice is iconic amongst the NYCFC faithful. How do you prepare for such a monumental feat?
Well, a lot of my preparation to do PA at Yankee Stadium for our matches happens on game day. PA is not one of those jobs where you have to do a great deal of preparation as, you know, the play-by-play guy and the color analyst would have to do. I get there. We have a production meeting about 3 hours before kick. So if it's a 1 o'clock kick, we're there in the morning. If it's a 7, we're there at 4. And we go through all the different elements that are going to be on the video board. You guys can hear my little dude here in the background. He's having a great time. He was good during the dress rehearsal for this episode of Dudes in Blue, but right now he's
this is great.
When the lights are on, he's a little bit concerned, probably about my answer here. But yeah, about 3 hours before we get together with the production crew, there's a number of Yankees personnel that are on the production staff that run the video board and different elements of the in-game presentation for the Yankees, as well as New York City FC. So we get together with our great leader, Jason Lodato, who's been with the club since day one. And he basically, anything that's ever entertained you at Yankee Stadium, with the exception of the actual goals and passes and subs and the occasional card, Jason's responsible for. So all the in-game entertainment, all the music from DJ Mode, the national anthem singers, the color guard, the way that we honor the NYPD and FDNY, and as well as, a number of the pub events that we've had over the years. Jason's in charge of all those things. So he brings us together about 3 hours before the game. We go over the script and we go over all the different production elements. And then from there, the crew usually breaks for a meal, and I go find the radio announcers and I find the visiting team's PR director. And I learned how to say all the interesting names that MLS gives me to be able to pronounce on a game-to-game and day-to-day basis.
That's amazing. But before we get into the NYCFC business, do you have is there a name? Like, what's been the hardest name for you to pronounce? Do you know it off the top of your head?
So it's funny because the team was just in Montreal. And, a lot of those Montreal names end up being hard because a lot of them are French-Canadian. It's one of those things. So I do a lot of boxing announcing, as well as, I've been the NYCFC stadium voice for the 5 seasons that we've been around. So it's interesting because you get South American names, you get Castilian Spanish names, you get Caribbean Spanish names, you get Eastern Europeans, you get, Russians, you get, and then New Jersey or Rockland County, you get an occasional RJ Allen or Tommy McNamara to go with all the different, more interesting names that come your way. So, it's just preparation, and taking the time and taking the care and consideration to, want to get things right and go over things. I hear that not everybody does that, but I do every time for every sport that I announce.
That's awesome.
It's actually really funny because we've heard a couple of announcers botch names not just stadium guys, but on TV too.
I've never been to a road match, but I know a lot of our fans travel, and I'd be curious to hear from them as to what names on our roster is hard to say for other announcers. But we actually, so this is kind of like a sad kind of nerdy announcer thing, but on Facebook we have a PA announcer group, and there's a number of MLS announcers in that group. We all kind of like hit each other up and give each other the business when our teams are coming into town, and hey, make sure you don't mess up this name or Matriza. Make sure you say that, whatever.
That's fun. That's fun.
Awesome.
Well, we really appreciate you being on for episode 151, man. It's great. It's great to have you back. You've definitely been you've been on the show, I think, once before.
Before this iteration, before the live, the whole live Facebook.
Before we started screwing everything up, you were a part of the original broadcast.
Yeah, which was also fun. This was fun too, especially the first 14 minutes from 8 to 8:14.
That's right. When nobody knew we existed.
Yeah. By the way, my son was very well behaved for those 14 minutes. As soon as the lights came on.
It was him. It was him.
Before you guys want a cameo from him real quick?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's let the video viewers take a look. And what's his name?
That's Jackson.
What up, Jackson?
Jackson, you having a good time? If he sees himself, then he'll calm down.
That's great. Is this the first baby we've had on the show? I don't even think.
No, your son.
He was on. He did come on at one point. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. If you're listening on the podcast right now, I'm sorry. This is like so ridiculously horrible. Anyway, so Mark, did you watch the game on Saturday?
I did.
Oh wait. Yeah, you did. Oh, that's right. No, it was. I'm so like thrown because of this wedding that happened this weekend, dude.
Blame me. All right.
You know what I mean?
Everything's my fault because I choose to get married on game day.
I mean, look, you had the schedule.
Listen, I tried to I picked a month where there was no home games. We didn't have to miss anything. I brought as much NYCFC to this wedding as I could. We had scarves during our introductions. We had our own tunnel of honor. It was fantastic.
What fans don't realize right now is Antonino's actually live in Aruba. He just brought out his jerseys and set up his hotel room to look like the set of Dudes.
You know how hard it was to get this on the plane?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, so we got to get into a little bit of NYCFC talk here before this train completely goes off the rails. It's a little too late for that. So look, we had no James Sands, no Alexandre Matriza, and no Ronald Matarrita, and yet we pull off a 2-0 victory in Montreal, another road victory for the boys in blue. I thought it was a solid performance. Dude, what did you think? That was like, I know you just recently caught up on it, but...
Yeah, so it's really fresh because I just finished watching it.
You literally just saw it.
Half hour ago. No, speaking to the fact that your lineup is a little different, and not because it was chosen that way, it's because it had to be that way because of the injuries. It's actually nice to see people fill in and still see a continuation of the continuity of the past couple of games where you're keeping that same form. So for me, it's really just a solid performance. Anytime you can put 2 goals on and limit really good scoring chances to the opposition, it's a really good game. And it's nice to see this team build with the extra pieces filling in and living up to their starting counterparts.
Well, it was we're seeing that same formation, that 3/5 in the back, which seems to be our thing. That seems to be. I love watching Mark. By the way, this is this is amazing.
This is really the greatest episode ever.
We had just to make this episode worse. So my wife and son and I live in a condo here in Manhattan, or a co-op, and we had the co-op board meeting before. So Jackson and I went to the co-op board meeting to vote for the co-op board members and stuff like that. He was angelic, perfect, really well behaved. There was another baby there that was causing a riot, and this baby was very, very good. But clearly he's in extra time right now.
Oh man,
not good. Not good for anybody that's logged in, and I do logged on, and And we do, on behalf of Jackson and I, we do apologize. But nice breakdown, Anthony, despite the distractions.
Dude, this is like this is kind of like married life. Like you're gonna be trying to do things, and there's always gonna be something in your ear trying to prevent you from doing it.
That's it. Well, bring it on. I'm ready for it.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. Mark, what'd you think of the game?
I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought we were going to be up even more. I thought Maxey had a chance right before Maxey scored. He had a chance to get one there. And poor Maxey, I mean, he's done everything for this team over the last season and a half, maybe the last 2.5 full seasons. And he's hit this year, the last couple of weeks, we've seen he's hit the post. He's hit the post again. He's hit the post on penalty kicks. He's, he just has not had, he's had some unlucky bounces and just hasn't been able to connect. And then it was nice to see him get that cleanup goal the other day in the first half to get things started. And then this kid that's making all this noise on this video podcast right now, when Issy scored the other day, I yelled real loud. And I got a similar reaction from Jackson that he's given us right now.
That's awesome.
But I thought it was really good, and it was good to see him step up and get one too, because he hasn't been seeing a ton of minutes recently, and Anthony almost kind of lost a gentleman's wager and almost had to do this show or last week's show as Andrea Pirlo. I mean, we went from 12th. Not that standings matter this time of year, but went from 12th to 5th in a matter of about 10 days there. So, it's nice to see the goal scoring coming. Nice to see the points in the, in the standings as a result of the goal scoring. So, I really liked it. I'm a typical selfish American soccer fan. I like goals. And I'm an announcer, so I like to announce the goals. So when we get a lot of goals, I'm very happy.
That's right. If you guys are watching on the Facebook feed, get those questions in if you've got them for Mark or us, or if you want to know about Antonino's wedding or what he's doing on his honeymoon, sitting in a hut, broadcasting for episode 151. Keep
are you
those comments
in the hot tub right now, Anthony? Tell the truth.
What's the question?
In the hot tub.
Am I in the hot tub? If I showed you my lower half right now, we would be shut off.
Facebook.
So we're leaving tomorrow morning. And I don't do the show sans pants. So it's okay.
That's good to know.
I may have been known to wear pajama pants during the show because, as you can see, all that's really important is the soccer jersey. Anyway, Christian Smith on Facebook says, it was definitely a good performance, but we have some questions as to who starts up top. Izzy is performing too well to be benched, and Matrica is definitely going to start, as will Maxey. So does Heber have to take a seat? Mark, what do you think? I'm not really sure about that.
I don't think you can play without Heber right now. I mean, he's been unbelievable ever since he's gotten on the squad and he's gotten right and, he's getting his wind and stuff like that. He's been a part of how many goals? I mean, he's assisted on goals. He's scored goals. I think you're going to see maybe Issy late in games, but, I don't see how you can do it without Heber right now. And then Matrica, from what we've seen of him so far, he's not only a scorer. I mean, he's a pace setter. He's a guy that can speed up you can speed up play. He can slow down and hold up play, set other guys up. I mean, I'm excited to see those two guys in particular play together a little bit more, and then see Issy in his normal role. But that was some goal the other day. Unbelievable. And he's been excellent, since he's joined the club.
What was great about that goal was the amount of time that he actually had to take it, which was virtually nothing.
Right.
He turned nothing into something, immediately.
Upper left, put it right. I mean, that was.
And you got to give credit to Tinnerholm for fighting off that ball as well, because he fought that all the way to the end line. And dude, that's Tinnerholm, dude. That's what a wing back now is supposed to do under this formation. That's what you want to see. You want to see them fighting for the ball in the corner, getting it into the box, and creating those kinds of chances.
For the amount of work Tinnerholm has had to do with this new formation over the last 4 or 5 games, I think he absolutely exploded this game. I mean, he was all over the field, just strong-arming, muscling, staying with the ball, putting himself in good defensive positions. And when he was on the offensive, I mean, he had some great outlet passes. So, listen, when you've got these guys who can be, multidimensional players like Tinnerholm, Mata, and Sweat, you're talking about a really dangerous attack that it shifts from 3 players to 1 player to 4 players to 5 players to 6 players, depending on positioning in the midfield. But I mean, make no mistake about it, Tinnerholm is an engine on this team when it comes to playing up the flanks, and it's really fun to see these guys being able to use all their tools rather than just stay at home and play D.
Well, and just continuing that thought. So when I'm not doing soccer, I'm doing a bunch of other sports. And over the course of the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, there was a kind of a junior reporter from Sports Illustrated for Kids, and he asked Frank Martin from South Carolina, what is it about defense? Is it desire or is it technique? And in Tinnerholm, I mean, you see that the fire is there every single match. Things may not go his way. The ball may not bounce his way. He may not get the calls. He may get a card or, or won a match for 3 straight weeks or however many you're allowed to get. But, the technique is there, but the fire is always there. And that's something that's great to see out of him. And then Sweat, obviously, like he said, he's strung a couple together where he's played really well. And congrats to him because he made the MLS All-League team this week. So It's nice to be represented on there with whoever's going to represent us. But it's nice for Sweat to get that individual accolade because he missed a couple, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And he was getting close, and I mean, his shot obviously leads to a golden opportunity there. But I think
it was his shot, right? It was Sweat's shot that got
Maxi
spilled, and Maxi cleaned it up.
But just his ability to kind of hold up play, and not intentionally, but when he's being pinned down, there are very few players I've seen get out of situations where there's 2 guys on you in your own corner, and he could just work the ball out and hold it enough to either find a move to get away or to be able to pass it to someone who gets in position close by. That happened a couple times against Montreal. So I like the way he plays. I think he doesn't get enough credit sometimes. I think the fact that sometimes when he has a poor game, it's really poor, and that kind of skews the view of him sometimes. But when he's on, he's a very, very dangerous player, and he can whip the ball in the boxes as well as anybody can with that left foot.
But
those off. I'm sorry, Joe, but those off games have become a lot fewer and a lot further between. Because remember how scary, a couple of years ago, our back 4 used to be. We used to make all of us a little bit nervous, as fans. Now, terrible. We've gotten players, that have that kind of skill that, it's not uncommon to see them pushing up the left side or the right side. They are multidimensional. They have more facets, and I think they're playing with a lot more confidence and organization right now. So it's a good thing to see, both ends of the field.
Anytime you can pick up a clean sheet is great. Anytime you can pick up a clean sheet and a victory on the road is even better. We've had a pretty good record at the Stade Saputo in Montreal. So, it wasn't necessarily a surprise, but based on the way that we've played away in the past year and a half, really in the past year or so, it was a great result for sure. It's interesting that we're talking about this is amazing to Jeff. It's like you're stealing the show. Stealing the show.
You're making it through this part right now. Excuse me for just a second.
Yeah.
If you guys continue, please.
So, that's amazing. Mark's putting us down. Dude, we're talking about our fullbacks, but we're really talking about them in an attacking capacity. And anytime your fullbacks are that committed to getting forward in the attack, it leaves your defense, a little bit suspect. But in this case, when you've got 3 in the back, and we had Collins, Ibiaga, and Chanot playing in the back, you didn't feel like we had that lapse. And even with James Sands not being in the 11 and Sebastian Ibiaga picking up his place, you felt like Tinnerholm being all the way on the other field, you almost didn't fear for the counterattack because our back 3 were so solid. Afori was solid. Ring was solid. It was just like you feel okay with them getting forward, which is going to create a lot more opportunities. But at the same time, we're solid in the back. We don't have to worry as much as we used to.
Not only from a fan standpoint, but think about it from a player standpoint. When you're building a rapport and you have 3 solid players in the back, it allows you that mental freedom of, hey, you know what? I could take 3 or 4 extra steps here and get a little deeper down the field to try to make a good pass rather than rush a pass thinking that I have to stop here, turn around and get back immediately if the ball gets turned over. That's what good players do. Good players make the other players around them better. And not for the fact that, you set them up perfectly, but you afford them opportunities to give them space and to let them do do what they're meant to do and have that creative freedom if they so choose to use it. So it's really fun to watch when you've got a solid backline like we do, because it just gives everyone in front of them so much freedom to do what what they want to do and excel at it and do what they're play to their strengths.
Yeah, it's definitely been solid. Let's move on to the dude of the week here. And Mark, this is the part of the show where we try to highlight a player, as you probably know, that kind of went above and beyond his normal pace of play. So in the comments, start putting in who you think gets dude of the week this week. And for me, it's kind of an easy one almost. It's kind of easy to almost give it to Maxey for getting on the score sheet and now, did he pick up the assist for Tajuri Shradi's goal, if I'm not mistaken?
I think he touched it, yeah.
I think he did touch that ball. But for me, I thought Maxey had a great game. It's also easy to give it to Tajuri Shradi for kind of stepping up there. And you could also give it to Tinnerholm too. But I'm giving it to Maxey this game. Scored the game-winning goal and showed, he's kind of back in action. He needed to get back on the scoring sheet. And that's just where I'm at. What do you guys think, Mark?
I like Tinner. I like the hustle. I like, as I mentioned, I like how he's getting it done on both ends of the field. When he is able to make a run up the entire right side, he puts a lot of pressure on the defense, and good things happen as a result. Sometimes catastrophic things happen, but in this case, something very good happened.
Yeah, dude. What do you got?
Good job, number 3.
I'm with Mark on this one. I think Maxey, you kind of knew was gonna shake it off, and it wasn't that he was playing poorly the last couple games. It's just that the goals weren't coming in. But when you're a traditional number 10, those things really the goals isn't really a huge number for those players. It's more the creation and the passes that lead to goals. So I do like the way Maxey was directing traffic and putting people into the proper spaces and being a real leader as far as the midfield concerns. But I think Tinnerholm was a little bit more above and beyond what we normally see out of him. Not that we ever see subpar from him, but I think just the sheer work that he put in on both goals, I think he really was able to make something out of nothing. And then his defensive play on top of it, being able to shut down that right side of the field, I think he was. I think he had a very, very, very good game, as did Maxey and Tajuri. But I think Tinner gets it for me for this one.
I'm getting a lot of nods in the Facebook comments for Izzy, but dude, I know you like the Audi player index, and I've got it pulled up here, and Maxey has the highest score for NYCFC at 592. Maxime Chanot comes in second at 560. Ismail Tajuri Shradi at third with 373, and Anton Tinnerholm at 258, which is kind of interesting. Which I don't know. It could be a little bit deceiving. I'm not a huge fan of the Audi index.
What happened to the days where there were players with when we had players with
like in the 1200s?
Yeah, what happened there?
It doesn't
the best
happen
is
anymore.
what? Under 600? This is ridiculous.
It doesn't happen anymore. Well, look, I think Mark's the guest on the show. He says Anton Tinnerholm, so we're gonna give it to Anton Tinnerholm this week. What the hell? Let's do it. Anton Tinnerholm.
Thanks, guys.
Can you announce it? Can you announce this?
The dude.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, tuned into Facebook here and listening on the podcast much later, please join us as we congratulate this week's Dude of the Week, number 3, defender, Anton Tinnerholm. There you go. Good job, guys.
You should not have done that, because now we have to pull you over and we have to do every single Dude of the Week.
I figured that Jackson Fratto and I owed you guys at least that.
Oh, that was amazing.
That's awesome. That was absolutely fantastic. So this is great. David on Facebook says Tinnerholm did take a punch in the nuts for the team.
That's true. Saw that.
He actually did.
In boxing, they'd have given him 5 minutes to kind of work that out in the neutral corner before the gameplay resumed. So
how is that not a foul? That's the one area.
They can only call what they see. I mean, I don't know how you missed that, but he went down like a sack of potatoes.
Just amazing, just totally down for the count. There was a Facebook question here for you, Mark. I'm gonna try to find it here. It's from Felix on Facebook, and Felix asks, Mark,
Hi, Felix.
what is your favorite name to announce for NYCFC?
My favorite name. Well, I'll tell you what. First, well, it's on my mind. We need to get there early for the next game, almost like choir practice, and we need to practice Heber over and over and over again. You guys can't be leaving me without a date to the prom like you did on Heber's last goal.
That was my next question.
So, New York City goal, number 9.
The Crickets.
Well, that's the hard part because we really
didn't
haven't
know
had anybody with one name. It's always been
yeah, I know. It'll take a couple reps.
that middle.
So all right. So wait.
So our part is to go beforehand. So you say number 9, and then we say Heber, and then you say Heber. Excellent.
Unless you guys, I mean, we could broker something right now. If you want me to say A and you guys say Bear, whatever you guys think we can handle, I'm with.
I like the way you first presented it. I think you say the number, you give us a pause, and we should respond in typical New York fashion with Heber, and you come up with it afterwards.
Yeah,
I think that's fair enough.
If I got to clean up the mess, then I'll reluctantly press the button. I'll clean it up. I'll give you
You should just be like, come on, guys, what's going on?
I mean, so my favorite name right now, I mean, everybody knows Maxi. So when I say Maxi, everybody yells Maxi. I can't even tell you guys, the privilege, the kind of feeling that I get every time we score a goal and the entire stadium erupts, as part of the goal scoring announcement. It's awesome. It's awesome for me as the announcer. Of course, the first person that we all got to know was David Villa, and every single time, I mean, it was goosebumps for me.
Best.
I mean, it was unbelievable. And you guys sent me the photo last year of the father and son, which got me a little misty eyed. There's, a father that had David spelled out, with a lot of I's, and then son had Villa.
So
exactly.
So that's actually a husband and wife who actually sit right in front of us. And when we saw that, we were like, we have to get this to Mark because this is all him. This is his doing.
It was amazing.
And it was so creative. I must have taken 40 photos of them every game when they had them on because they wore them almost every game.
Yeah.
And it was
it was a husband and wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's really small though. She's tiny and he's much taller, so I can see where you're looking at the backside. How do you know?
I thought it was David Villa and Luca Villa. I thought that was the deal. But I'm glad. I hope they spend many happy years of marriage, just like you, Anthony, and your and you, Joe, of course, in their David Villa jerseys. But so right now, I mean, I'm selfish. I like it when we score a lot of goals. Maxi scores a lot of goals. Everybody seems to know his name the best. So when I say Maxi and everybody says Morales, that's that's my favorite. David Villa was always my favorite, of course, because just the way that resonated throughout the Bronx, throughout the city. I mean, I really felt it was goosebumps every time. Now we got to find what the next one's going to be.
Yeah. So wait. All right. So we got to figure this out here because we got to figure out what the official Heber call is, because I don't think we 100% nailed that down. So I know people in the Facebook comments are trying to figure out what the hell to say when it scores. So can you give us the official Heber in stadium goal call and how the crowd is supposed to respond to your thunderous voice?
Yeah, but the crowd's supposed to respond. I say nothing when the crowd responds. That's the trick.
Okay, so you
guys have to be the crowd.
Right, that's fine. I could do that. We could do that.
Always do it.
These poor guys in the comments, they can yell at their computer, but we're not going to hear them right now. Much like the first 14 minutes of the show.
I don't mean this crowd. I mean, we want to know the correct protocol for when Heber scores. So we'll be the audience, dude. We'll be the audience.
Okay, all right. That sounds good. I'm going to stand up then.
All right.
I'm going to stand up. So, and we're going to give you a little whip around coverage. So please forgive me for the amount of children's toys and stuff like that are going on in our living room right now. But okay, so I'll say, goal, New York City. And then I'll say, that New York City goal scored by number 9.
Heber!
I think that's it.
Excellent.
And then you follow up with?
Yeah, I'll say, for Heber, that's his, how many? 5th goal of the season.
So
22nd goal of the season.
So that's it. So that's the official. So all of you people who mentioned it last time when the crowd was completely flat, now you know. This is where you got to go. You got to come to the Dudes in Blue, and this is where you learn how to act when goals are scored. Now Mark,
Felix in 236 says he's ready to. Ready to. Felix in section 236 in your comments right now. He says he's ready to scream Heber.
That's it. We're good. We're good. We're
good
ready.
job, Felix.
He can do that. He can definitely do that. Roddy is asking Mark, when can we get a goal song?
A goal song, like after we score?
Yeah.
You guys don't want me to sing it, I don't think.
No.
It would be an 80s ballad if it were up to me. Yeah, that's why Mode is the music director and I do what I do.
From Poison.
Yeah, come on, we got.
Yeah, no, there'd be some journey involved, but not what you're thinking. It'd be slow. It'd be faithfully.
Oh my gosh,
it'd be so good. Everybody get up with their lighters in Yankee Stadium
and slowly walk out.
Where their cell phones, everybody's holding their cell phones.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
It'd be good. Very romantic goal scored.
Interesting. David on Facebook.
I don't know, I'll say this. If you guys have an idea for a goal song, this club is more receptive than any other team, pro or college, that I've ever been around to fan feedback. So, I mean, get that information in, not to me, because I have very limited responsibility and decision making, but get that into whoever you guys normally interact with, and I'm sure they'll take it into heavy consideration.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of cool, actually. I'm
super responsive. I think too responsive sometimes, as you guys know. But they're super responsive. They're so good to the fans, I think. And when you guys have opinions on stuff, when you guys have concerns, when you guys have things that you like to see get done, I mean, you guys all know who the people within the club, the full timers that you need to go to, and fans do it. So same thing here. If you guys have suggestions or whatever for a goal,
send them. But don't send them to Mark.
I've seen the questions.
You can send it to me. I will forward it to.
But in all fairness, I've seen that question pop up not only in our comments, but I've seen it pop up elsewhere throughout NYCFC social media before. And I think it's kind of cool because it's like much like your goal announcements, Mark. Those have been a staple since the first season. If you can get something like that and attach it to those great moments, it just kind of gives you that memory reflux where whenever you hear it, you'll always remember, oh, this is our song, this is what we do. It's not just for that moment, but it'll always bring you back to the great moments that you've had, much like your calls. So I think it's a great idea, and if we can find something that encapsulates New York and in that positive, upbeat fashion, I think we could definitely get one going.
I think that's one of the best things about being a fan who's been on the ground floor, or being the announcer that's been on the ground floor from the first day, first season, first match, is we all have a chance to kind of create these traditions that people will presumably be using versions of for years and years and years. So I think that's a cool thing for all of us to be a part of. So if you have those suggestions, like I said, get them to the people that need to hear them.
Rajendra on Facebook is saying you guys should make it your poll question next time. That's a good idea. We'll do a Twitter poll for it.
For sure.
Dave on Facebook, Mark, wants to know, do you stand up during the live PA? Like, do you actually stand up with the goal celebration, or are you sitting? Because every time I visit you, you're usually sitting down for like the reading, but
yeah, but there's that really tall chair, so
it's like you're standing.
Yeah, I think I'm not really a part of corporate America as much anymore, but I believe what I have is called a standing desk, and Paul Olden from the Yankees, the Yankee Stadium announcer for the Yankees, he uses that as well. And then there's a chair that really it elevates a really high position. So I sit for most of the game. I stand, of course, for the national anthem, for the intro, the outro, and for the anthem itself. Most of the time I am sitting though, so I can make sure I have the microphone at the right place and all that when I hit the button.
Have you ever had like a blunder during a game, like where either something like a person's name was read wrong or was the wrong player or something like that? Like anything catch you off guard like that before?
Oh, sure. It hasn't happened so much now. Now you're jinxing me, but with New York City FC, it hasn't happened so much. I mean, the soccer announcer and in the Manchester City fashion, it's very simple. It's very kind of austere. The club gives credit to the fans for being knowledgeable. They don't need to be talked at, or in my case, announced at, right? So it's goals, subs, and cards pretty much, in game. We don't even do the time of the goal. We don't do the assists on the goal. We don't do anything like that. It's very simple. And that's from the top of management. So, I certainly mess up. I'm on the mic for a lot of hours a week and a lot of weeks out of the year, and a lot of, for a lot of it. And I say correction. I want to go back to our first ever interview where I was kind of like called out by some blogger or something like that for announcing Frank Lampard as Super Frank when he first came in his first match, and we were down 5-0 at the time and all that. And I said,
Red Bull game?
What? Yeah, it was that. I think that was the
Red wedding.
And yeah, the Red Wedding. And things didn't turn out for us or the Starks very well on that day. But look how much we've learned and grown from it since then. But Frank was coming in for the first time, and a lot of fans didn't appreciate how long it had taken him to make his first appearance. But for me, there's a distinction between doing what I do and being a fan. And that guy was my guy, and I'm not oblivious to time and score and context, but that guy was my guy, and I wanted to give him a first good announcement and welcome him onto the field. And people reacted how they reacted. I don't think that was a mistake, because I stick with my guys. I'm behind them. That's what my job is.
You're almost put in not an awkward situation, but it is a hard situation, almost like celebrating a great goal when your team is losing, or celebrating a big milestone when your team is losing. Like, if CC got his 3,000 strikeout and the Yankees were down 10-0, it would take away from it a little bit.
And they did lose that game. The Yankees did lose that game. But there's levels, obviously.
Yeah.
I can temper my enthusiasm, but there's going to be some enthusiasm. And I was excited to see Frank out there. I mean, obviously that day is a lost cause, but what did it mean for the rest of our season? I mean, then he went something like an entire month where he scored every single game, home, road. And again, we went from wherever we were, like 12th to 5th to 2nd to 3rd, and then we're, right in the running. And that was thanks to those goals. And
he also
scored with first announcement.
He also scored with every part of his body at that point.
Yeah, he did. I think
he didn't kick one in.
Maybe I think
he didn't kick one in for like 6 games.
Yeah, one with the inside of his knee, one with his chest.
His head.
Yeah, his knee, his
butt,
thigh.
Amazing.
All over the place. Yeah. Somebody on Facebook here, Rajendra is asking, she wishes that there was a substitution chime before the announcement, kind of like more like a soccer stadium, she says.
A substitution chime?
A chime, yeah, almost like.
Tell me about that.
So usually in Europe a lot you'll hear it in the PA system. They'll get when a substitution is made, it's like a boom, and then the guy will make the announcement. It doesn't sound like that.
Wait, dude, hold on. I didn't get. Mark, did you get that? I didn't get.
No, it's my audio is something wrong with it.
How does it sound?
It's a tone. It's like a boom.
Yes.
Well, it sounds something like that. But it's just some sort of small. It's a short, concise tone, and then they'll make the announcement. Almost like a flight. If you're on a flight and you hear, before the pilot will make an announcement, you hear that little. Ding. Yeah, it's exactly that. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. We have a sub.
So the way that I noticed, again, I told you guys in the beginning, I don't know if you could hear it over my son voicing his discontent, but, we have those production meetings about 3 hours before the match, and we go over everything with all the different people that are responsible for all the different graphics and the camera operators and the directors and technical directors, audio guys that play the music, all that stuff. And yeah, that's something that I think could be integrated. But what I can tell you what happens usually is I don't announce the sub until the sub gets off the field, because they want to show the sub coming onto the field. They want to show, the player going off. So fans have a chance to show their appreciation before I kind of prompt our fan base to do so. And then they put a graphic, and it has, the green lights for the guy coming on and the red lights for the guy going off. And that's at that point I make the that's when I make the announcement on cue from the director when that graphic is up. So I think this is another situation, and I'm not saying that the suggestion was a bad one. I think it's a great one. But this is a situation where I think they're trying to, give the fans credit for making that observation on their own at first. And then, just in case you missed it, then the guy with the loud voice and all the speakers are, going to let you know.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. Christian on Facebook says, Mark, where is your dream location for an NYCFC stadium?
Where is it? I mean, I said this before years ago. My dream location is exactly where we're at. I mean, I love being at Yankee Stadium. I know that may not be the most popular opinion of all the different fans, but I mean, for me, there's Yankee Stadium, Madison Square Garden, Wembley Stadium in the world, and then everything else is in 99th place. So, I mean, I love it at Yankee Stadium. I mean, I love the ease of access and like all the other things that come with, being a New Yorker, wanting to get to the place where, where we're going to root for our team or cheer on our team. I mean, even Joe, you're up in the Hudson Valley, right? You can you can take the Metro North right down to that stop and then walk across. I don't know if you do it or not, but
I take the old Subaru.
Gotcha. Well, that's a good way to go.
I take the old throughway to the Major Deegan there.
But there are quite a few of our fans that we know of that commute from the Beacon side, the Beacon station, and take it down.
I'm a Poughkeepsie native, so I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
I live in the city now, and I take the 4 train, or I bump in a Club Durango up there. Put some pre-match music on and get myself going.
Do you ride with DJ Mode? Like, do you have his playlist going before the match?
No, I could though. I could think, but remember, DJ Mode and I have different musical tastes. So I'm usually riding up with.
He's not a Streisand fan, right?
Journey or Bon Jovi? Nah, not so much Streisand. No, not so much. Not so much. My mother's a huge fan. But and I don't say the stadium stuff to sound like a shill for the team or anything like that. I grew up a New York Yankees fan, so for me, there's not much bigger of an honor than to be the announcer at Yankee Stadium for whatever we're doing. And I've really come to appreciate and really love our team, our players, and our fans as I've learned about them, as you guys have. And I love our location for that reason personally. But I could see, I've been around soccer for a long, long time. When I was in college at Geneseo upstate, my roommates were the soccer and basketball and hockey players. When I was at Maryland, we had, first class NCAA Division I soccer team in the ACC. Now they're in the Big Ten. When I was at St. John's for 9 years, one of the Big East best programs was there. So I can appreciate from the game play perspective and from, people that are fans of, the beautiful game. I get that. For me, I love Yankee Stadium. I love the Bronx. I love being on the microphone there. That's me.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. If you guys, dude, you got anything else for Mark before we kind of wrap this show up?
No, I really want to thank Mark. Mark has to be, if you don't know, because you don't really get to see him a whole hell of a lot, but Mark does a ton of work, not just for NYCFC, but the boxing, the Westchester Knicks. You have to be one of the hardest working dudes in this business that I know. I don't ever see your Facebook pages or social media pages down without content. You are constantly uploading here, there, left, and right. So we just want to thank you for, it's a Monday night, it's 9 o'clock, and you spent the last hour with us, which is really cool. So we want to thank you for that, and we love what you do. You have probably one of the greatest voices, and eventually you'll have to record our voicemail message here on the home phone, because you can't be friends with Mark Fratto and not have that, not have that luxury. But thank you. Well, Mark, can you tell us where everyone can follow you for everything else outside of NYCFC?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. My personal Instagram is @MarkFratto. My business, which is me and others announcing, and also the streaming company and broadcast television company that we have, is called Lineker Media. So @Lineker Media on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook as well. I really appreciate you saying something, and always a pleasure to spend time with you guys. And really, I don't get a lot of chances to connect with the fans unless we do kind of those pub crawl events and stuff like that. So I appreciate you guys giving me a platform to, to be able to reach out and have a two-way conversation instead of, just me, through the big speakers, and everybody's forced to listen to everything I have to say in that situation.
You've got the power. Yeah. Well, Mark, again, like Anthony said, we really appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a lot of fun. Jackson was phenomenal. I think he kind of stole the show.
He was vocal. He was definitely vocal.
He was. He totally was. It's funny. My mom is actually watching the show, and she said that we have to get Jackson a Dudes in Blue shirt. But I think I already did send you a Dudes in Blue shirt for the little man. So
yeah, well, he wears. So he's got a couple little guy kits. I mean,
that's awesome.
The shorts are attached. So we've been through one of those already today. I'm not going to say what demise untimely was brought to that outfit because I don't want to scare off Anthony. I don't want to scare off Anthony right away. But yeah, that just happened. And actually, what drew his appearance of the show to a close was similar. So. Kristen, who's the CEO of our family, got home and took care of that. So we're
good
grateful
timing
to Kristen for
really
at least picking us up at the half.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
This has definitely been like an unconventional episode of the Dudes in Blue.
Oh, for sure.
But
super fun. Super fun.
But totally fun. I mean, dude, this is a great cap to the weekend for you, getting married, and congratulations to you and Lauren. It was a freaking awesome wedding. And everybody smash the like button for Antonino getting married because he pulled the trigger. He did it. And he's got a phenomenal life. Lauren is absolutely a beautiful person, and you guys are amazing for each other. I am incredibly happy for you, and glad that I was able to be a part of the ceremony there. It was absolutely an honor, and even my little guy was part of the ceremony too. So
nice.
Yeah, I thank you guys and everyone who mentioned or posted about on our pages their well wishes to Lauren and I. We thank you so much. You guys are a huge part of our lives. I mean, that's the thing when you do stuff like this. It's not just Joe and I, or when we have guests like Mark and Ian. Our families are all a part of this life and what we do, and they kind of get to know people as well. So it's really fun. I tried to bring as much NYCFC flair to the wedding as I could.
You mean as much
Joe,
as Lauren would let you?
Yeah. Listen, I will say this. I got everything I wanted. I got pictures with my groomsmen with our NYCFC scarves and a soccer ball. I got NYCFC cufflinks. Our suits were navy blue with light blue ties. We had a tunnel of honor as the entrance to our wedding in the classiest venue I could find, and we just had scarves up the whole time. It was fantastic.
They had to soccer it up.
We'll try to get those videos out as soon as we can, but it was a lot of fun. It definitely represented the both of us, and everybody had a great time. I had a great time with everybody, and it's a lot of fun. And the best part was still being able to do this show before we leave, and probably next week's show as well. So that's commitment right there.
That is commitment. So
no service interruptions for Antonino.
Nope.
Unless our program decides to not let us broadcast live like it did tonight.
Yeah.
There's
that wasn't the bonds of marriage. That was the bonds of internet.
Seriously. Well, this has been episode 151. We're at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dudes in Blue. This has been awesome. Again, thank you so much to Mark Fratto, the PA announcer at Yankee Stadium, who gives us all those beautiful goal celebrations. I feel like you got to close out the show with something, Mark, but I don't know what it is. I should have prepared it, and I didn't. Smash the like button while I try to stall and think of something.
I got one. I got one for you. I just got to check the calendar real quick because. All right.
That's totally fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for attending this evening's live broadcast of Dudes in Blue. Be sure to tune in to ESPN or listen live at WNYE 91.5 FM, ESPN Deportes 1050 AM, as your New York City Football Club travels to the LA Galaxy this coming Saturday. That kick time looks like it's 4 p.m. Eastern time. We also hope to catch you at Yankee Stadium on Thursday, June 6th, 7 p.m. kick against the expansion side FC Cincinnati. Get your tickets at nycfc.com and definitely check out the Dudes in Blue between now and then for all the latest and greatest with your boys in blue.
All right, I quit.
Absolutely amazing.
I quit.
I had all that written on my palm.
Dude, that was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Mark
Awesome.
Fratto, go follow him. Mark Fratto on Instagram or Lineker Media on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can connect with him. Please do that. He is the man. Thanks for smashing the like button, Mark, as always. Dude, have fun on your honeymoon, man. That's going to be amazing. But we'll be back Monday night. We'll be back Monday night, 8 p.m. for episode number 152. Maybe Antonino will make an appearance. We'll see. Maybe he'll be like a totally different color, but he might be he might be there. Guys, until next week, stay blue.